gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now.
Wake up. Yep, it's that time again. Time for Vape AM. It's Friday, Fun Friday. We're doing another live show today. We're going to try this out again and see how this is going to work. The reason I didn't pimp this out earlier in the week is because I wasn't sure it was going to work. So we're going to give this a shot this time, see how it goes. If this works well today, we'll start doing these every Friday. We may even start doing them every day. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. So good morning, everybody. Time for a Fun Friday. We're just going to talk about some, cool stuff today, talk about some liquids, talk about some devices. Got a little news and history and birthdays and all that kind of good stuff for you. I looked around in history today, nothing I really wanted to talk about necessarily, but today is the first day of summer, and that's enough to talk about. In the Toledo area, believe it or not, we get a lot of rain, a lot of cloudy skies, and it's beautiful blue skies from what I can see out the windows here, and I'm really excited because we don't get a ton of these days, so I'm really happy about that. Those of you that may be joining us later or watching the replay, we're going to try and start doing these more often. We just had to get a handle on how everything works, so new mics, trying to get this all taken care of. So we're going to have some fun today. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things here real quick. Obviously, first day of summer, I'm pretty excited about that. Birthdays today, Star-Lord's birthday today, so happy birthday, Star-Lord. We're really, I love those movies. I've been a Chris Pratt fan for quite a while, all the way back to when he wasn't as big and strong and sexy as he used to be when he was on some of the other programs, but he's looking good, man. I mean, he's really working it out. Juliette Lewis, those of you that know who she is, it's her birthday today as well. And then I'm not so sure how I feel about this being famous or infamous, but it's Edward Snowden's birthday today also. So, just kind of take that with a grain of salt. All right, guys. Well, I do have a little bit of news to tell you about today, but it's actually I'm going to call it good news. I mean, what it could have been would have been a lot worse, so this is actually some pretty good news. So in Ohio, I just found out yesterday, they are doing their budget for the state of Ohio, and the T21, the Tobacco 21 thing has been a big focus for that. So what's happened here now is in the last hours of this, because they have to sign this by June the 30th, they ratified the Tobacco 21 law. So Tobacco 21 is going to pass. They voted on these new changes. They went through 33-0. So what I'm about to tell you is probably what you're going to see here in the near future. So it looks like, at least in the state of Ohio, what they're going to do is if you are 18 years old before October 1st, you're going to be grandfathered in. So you can purchase vape products if you're 18 to 21 right now. Like I said, all the way up to October 1st. So that's actually kind of a good thing. They're not slamming it down on us. I knew Tobacco 21 was coming. I know it's going to be federal. But this gives you guys a little bit more time to, get your vape stuff that you need so that when this does clamp down. And it also, as soon as, October 1st comes around, you're not going to be able to, get that stuff. If your birthday is October 2nd, you're just going to be out of luck. And realistically, if you're just turning 18 then, you probably aren't smoking yet anyway. So this gives it, a little bit of a buffer. But I'm glad to see some of the people that we work with definitely are going to be able to, keep their jobs and be able to still buy vaping products, because a lot of them will turn 21 before that date. So that's really good news. The other great thing about this is that in the budget, they are actually they're changing the tax. So it was going to be a 17% wholesale tax on vape products, but now it's actually just going to be a penny a milliliter. So I was pretty happy about that. It's only going to be a penny a milliliter, so that means on a 100 ml bottle, it's only going to cost you $1 in tax. And I think the reason they did this is because they wanted to put some kind of tax on this, and it's really low for every other place that I've seen about this. But they're actually cut so much out of the budget, they actually had a surplus of money, and I feel like they didn't need that tax money right now. And they wanted to kind of do something so that people that wanted to see something happening with e-cigarette products, that they were actually going to be able to do that. So, I'm sorry? Hellos. Angela, Mark, okay. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Drew's going to be watching the chat here. Like I said, third time's the charm on this video. So we're doing a little bit of live. Once we get a handle on this, Drew will start joining me, and we'll do a little bit more with the chat. But good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Last night is my favorite day of the week, as most of you guys know. Thursdays are awesome, and that's what she said was a really fun show last night. The girls were in rare form. A lot of good information on there, but what I like about that show is, they give you the news and advocacy because they're serious about that, but they also have some fun with it because that's what our industry is all about. We want people to stop smoking, but there's also some fun involved with it. The flavors are fun. Different things are fun. It keeps it lighthearted, but it also keeps it so that you're getting some support for quitting smoking. So I think that's a really big thing. So not to get off the subject too much, but Ohioans, I think this is a great situation overall. A penny per milliliter is something I could definitely take, stand, and they being grandfathered in by October 1st is also a really good thing. So I think as bad as this could have been, this is actually pretty good. I don't like that it was voted 33-0 because that means that all the calls and things that we've been making, no one really was against Tobacco 21, but I think they all saw the writing on the wall, and I know Governor DeWine, it's been his big pushing point that Tobacco 21 go into place. So if I'm going to have to swallow this, I'm glad that this is what I have to swallow. So not as bad as it possibly could be. All right, guys, like I said, on Fridays we're going to do some fun stuff. So I've got some devices and liquids and stuff that we're going to go through today. Now, I know a lot of these shows do a lot about mechanical devices and drippers. And that's fine. If you are really into vaping and you want to build your own coils and wick those and have those, a little bit bigger and more complicated devices, by all means, I think you should do that. But I think for the average person out there that's just quitting smoking, this is something that they're probably not going to be able to take advantage of right away because it's just, there's a lot involved with it. Now, the one thing that I think we've all seen is that pods have just kind of overtaken the industry because they are very similar to the draw in a cigarette. They're very easy to use. They're very inexpensive to use, and your liquid lasts you a considerably longer period of time. Now, I would say that you can use nic salts or free-base nicotine in your pod system. So if you're not a fan of these high milligram nic salts, you don't have to use that. A 12 nic free-base liquid works really great in a pod system, and it's going to give you those kind of hits that you're looking for. So you do have options. And even if the coil says it's for salt nic, it will run regular free-base, all right? Now, there's been some controversy a little bit about the charging aspect of this. So if you've got a pod system, we would strongly recommend that you use a wall adapter that is 1 amp or less. Now, I know there's some controversy about this. I talked about this on one of the other shows that I was actually in the chat about, and they don't believe that the wall adapter is so important. I personally do because I've actually seen devices that have come back within a day that were charged incorrectly that would not take a charge anymore. And I know personally if I slow charge my device, I do get quite a bit longer life out of it than if I use something that's a fast charger. And if any of you have had a computer that you have to leave plugged in all the time because the battery just won't take a charge anymore, that's kind of similar to what I saw with some of the other devices. So I'm going to let you make your own decision about that, but Vapors does offer you this wall adapters that you need for these devices that are under 1 amp, and I think it's the best way to charge these particular products. All right, so let's go through some stuff here. What do I got in front of me here? So we're going to talk about some devices. Let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this. This is actually the Aspire AVP mod. So this is the packaging on this. I picked this one in particular today just because I'm not a big guy for colors and lights and flashing and all, whistles and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a car guy. So this chrome to me is just gorgeous. I really like black and chrome is just kind of something that I really like. So this is actually the AVP device. I'm going to jump in here and pull out a pod. Let's see what we got in here. All right. Well, no, I'm not going to pull out a pod because there's not one in here. This was the display I grabbed from downstairs, and there's no pod in it. So, that's how things go sometimes. Well, if you want to know more about the AVP, you're just going to have to watch one of my other episodes that I talk about the AVP. So, darn it. All right, well, that's the way it goes. So, no big deal on that one. I got plenty of other stuff to talk about today. Like I said, live shows are like this. That's what makes them fun, right? All right, well, let's talk about some liquid. So at the Vapors stores and on the website, we have exploded our Salt Nic line. Now, I know a lot of you guys that use pod systems actually like Salt Nic. So we've got Sad Boy salts, which are called teardrops. This one here is the strawberry jam cookie flavor. So I really like this quite a bit. We also have the Pachamama line of salts. These have been really, really popular. Now, I did bring down a Sprite device. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, this has got a little bit of age to it, and in the vaping industry, that means a couple of months. What I liked about this device from the beginning was that the pod was big. It holds like 3.5 mils of e-liquid, and it has a replaceable coil. So not only is it a pod system that's fairly simple to use, but you can also just replace the coil in it, which is a lot less expensive, and you're not going to go anywhere near the liquid. You got this little orange plug here on the bottom that you're going to pull out so you can fill it. Make sure you have oil in here before you try to fill this device. It will just run right out the bottom or out the mouthpiece if you don't have a coil in here ahead of time. It's something I had to learn the hard way, especially when I was helping a customer one time. They came in the next day, and they were like, this thing leaks everywhere, and I looked down, and both of their brand new coils were still in the box. So, if you don't understand how to use these products, and I know a lot of times at Vapors, we take an extra, half hour with somebody to help them set their device up so it's ready to go. But this is a fairly simple one. So the coil would go in here. It does have a really nice little adjustable airflow. When you adjust that airflow and then you put it into the device, that airflow actually stays. So you can kind of adjust it to what you actually like. So if you like a tighter draw or a looser draw, personally, I actually like a tighter draw, a looser draw. I wasn't really into cigarettes towards the end. It was more cigars, so I was getting a lot more of, flow through a cigar, and that's the kind of hit that I like. But this is the Fuji Apple Pachamama. I adored this as a freebase liquid. I was trying this morning, but basically there's just this little button on the front of here that you're going to use, so you're just going to depress that, and it is a really small device. The funny thing about the Sprite is that it actually sits on this angle, and that's always kind of been one of those things that are like, why did they do that? But it seems fairly stable, so I don't really have a lot of concern with that. Plus, everything here is plastic, so you're not really worried about really breaking glass. If you do break one of these pods, there are actually pods just available. So you don't have to buy a brand new device. You can just kind of get a pod. So let's take a rip on this and see what this tastes like. You get little lights on the front of this thing, too, when you're depressing. But, man, that flavor is absolutely delicious. Really strong apple flavor in that. Almost like right off the tree kind of fresh apple taste. So that's really delicious. That is really, really good. All right. So also one of the other devices, now a lot of you guys that are using like a Juul device or a Blue device, this is called the Baton. And I like this quite a bit for a couple of reasons. Very similar in size, as you can tell, to a Juul device. One of the nice things about this, though, is that these pods are refillable, and that's what makes that so much of a better option. When you're talking one of these 30 ml bottles, you're probably going to spend somewhere between $15 and $20 on a 30 ml bottle, where you're going to spend $15 to $20 on 4 of the pods for the Juul. Now, you're only getting about 2.8 mils of e-liquid with those 4 pods from the Juul, and you're getting 30 mils of e-liquid with this. So you can see how much of a better deal it is to go this route. These devices are not hard to fill, they're not hard to use, and this is something you could just throw in your pocket, purse. It wouldn't be that big a deal. This is one of the pretty simple ones. You just push this in until it clicks, and then it's together, and then all you do is draw on it. It's just that simple. So I like this quite a bit just because of the size. I think this would be something that you could carry around with you pretty much all the time, and it's a quick kind of stealthy vape if you need something like that for work. This is their Baton Mango flavor. Now, one of the things I also liked about the Baton is they had people in mind when they put this together. What they did was they made their salts, the Baton actual brand salts, come in a small 10 ml bottle that you can get for less than $10. So if you don't have a lot of money and you need an inexpensive device, or let's say you're out of town and you break your device, you can always pick up one of these smaller devices to kind of get you through, and you don't have to buy a ton of Salt Nick with the Baton. You can just buy, one bottle of 10. But the other cool thing is if you're just getting started on this and you don't know what flavors you're going to like, you could buy 3 or 4 bottles for the cost of some of the larger freebase bottles and have some choices. You buy a couple extra pods, and all you do is just fill each one of them with a different flavor and pop it in there so you can change throughout the day. And literally all that stuff would fit into your pocket. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of space to be able to do that. This mango flavor is fantastic, though. Now, last week on the episode that you guys didn't get to see, Drew and I actually put this together with their mint flavor. And that glacier mint flavor that they have is really good. It will open you up. You will breathe better for that day, absolutely. But it is if you like those minty, menthol-y flavors, that glacier mint is phenomenal. And it seems like it's funny. In freebase mint and menthol flavors had, some ground, but they weren't like the most popular things. I mean, a lot of the fruits really kind of took that over. What I'm seeing on the pod systems is that everybody likes these menthol and minty flavors. It just gives them that little bit of a throat hit maybe that they're looking for without it being like a burning sensation. But the mint flavors in these have been really good. I'm going to hit this again because this is delicious. Wow, that is really, really good. I like that quite a bit. Last week we released the cookie twist flavor, the banana oatmeal cookie. That's what I've got in my tank for today. As you guys know, I am a big fan of tanks and mods because I like that larger hit. And I'm a real big fan of this Falcon King tank for a few reasons. Number one, it's very simple to fill. You just push this little button on the side and it pops open for you. You just stick your e-liquid in here and fill it up. So if you're not a pod system person, you want something with a little bit more of a hit like I do, this may be an option for you. The coils last me an inordinate amount of time, especially if you're using something that's not super, super sweet. You're going to get quite a while with this. I've gotten as long as 2 to 3 weeks out of a coil, and when I was using some of the other products like the Prince tank, my Big Baby Beast, I was getting 3 or 4 days out of a coil before it was completely losing flavor. It was burnt. Horizon Tech has really changed the game when it comes to stuff like this. Now, I am using my Alpha 1 from Vupu. I really like this mod quite a bit. I had to stop using my Tesla. I love that mod, I really do, but the acid in my skin was actually eating the coating off of the outside of the Tesla. So if you're not very acidic, I would really strongly recommend the Tesla. It's a wonderful product, but I got kind of concerned because I didn't want to get that stuff into my body, and I could see the spots where my fingers were touching the backside were actually going all the way down to the metal. So Tesla, I don't know if there's something you can do about that. Maybe dip one in rubberized coating for me or something, because I really, really love that mod, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to use it. So I may have to find something else. I don't really bring my Alpha 1 out that much, and I've been using it a lot lately, and I'm starting to see the scarring on the bottom where I've been sitting it down and rubbing the paint off, and I don't like that because I like this mod. I wanted to keep it really nice. I like the way it kind of looks like a VHS tape or like a Walkman or something like that. So I love this quite a bit, and I like the color of these Falcon King tanks. This I believe it's called coffee. This particular one has almost like a copper color to it. I'm not going to get away from it. I don't care if it matches exactly, but I really, really like this. So I'm going to take a rip on this so you guys can see, but I'm getting really nice clouds out of this. I set up the Rebirth from Mike Vapes a couple of weeks ago, and I had them kind of side by side. I had the Falcon and the Rebirth, and I was trying them both at the same time, and I honestly could not tell a difference in my cloud production or my flavor between the two. So if you don't want to do the dripper thing, but you do want to get the best flavor you can, my strong opinion would be that the Falcon King tank is the way to go. Got my force field up today. All right, guys, before we get into another pod system, you guys know every week that we do a liquid lowdown. We got a new liquid that comes out at our vapor stores and on the website every week. All you have to do is go on the main page of the website. We usually have a little slider up there that says liquid lowdown. Click on that and you'll know what it is. But since we were doing a lot more salts in the stores, I decided we would do a salt this week for the liquid lowdown. Now, normally what we do with salts is when we get a line in, we just release them right away because we know that that stuff's hot on the market and you guys really want it, so I don't want you to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it. Freebase liquids, a lot of times, we wait a little bit because there are so many freebase flavors out there. We want to bring you something special. But this week we're going to do carrot cake. This is from the Bird E-Liquid Company. This is a flavor called carrot cake that I like quite a bit. It is something a little bit different. You know, it is a dessert flavor for those of you that are looking for something like that. But this is a carrot cake flavor that is got like that cream cheese frosting on top of it as well. And you get all of those notes in there with that. So I decided today, now the Me Pod I'm sure you guys have seen before, but I don't know if you've seen this one. This is one of those new limited edition ones. We only got so many of these in the store. So these aren't available on the website, unfortunately, because we only got so many. But if you are in the Northern Ohio area, you want to pick one up. I'm sure that if I get a lot of response to this video saying I want a Grim Green Me Pod, that will get you one. So that's what it is. It's the Grim Green Edition Me Pod. So this is actually really cool. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of Grim Green, as well as that's what she said. It's the best part of my Thursday is being able to do that, except for doing the show for you guys in the morning. I mean, I get a big kick out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do an unboxing with this so you guys can kind of see. But that's the Me Pod of that. It does come with a couple of pods for you. I'll take some of this stuff out of here so we can get to all of that. You're going to get a user manual in here, but I don't know why you would need one. There's really not that much going on in this thing. Not a very long one. As far as that goes, basically it's just put the pod in, turn it on, and start vaping. You do have the warranty card. What is this in here? This is the airflow adjustments. So it actually has these plugs that you can put in to restrict the airflow. I'm not going to do that because I like a really wide airflow, but if you like that tighter draw, it does give you the option for the tighter or looser draw. So those of you out there that like that, you can really do that. Inside the bottom of the box here, we've got some other accessory stuff. Looks like there's a lanyard in here, so I'm gonna pull that out so you guys can take a look at that too. Let's see what we got in here. I'll set this off to the side. Oh, we got that gel pack. I was really looking for that. So, yeah, this is cool. So, with the limited edition Grim Green one, you actually get a Grim Green lanyard to wear with it as well. So, I love supporting him because I know the kind of advocacy that he does, and I know the kind of news that he gets. So, we love Grim Green around here, and I'm really glad that we were able to sell some of these. So, it does come with a charging cord, purple and green, which is kind of cool. And then it also comes with this little, what looks like some kind of like a wrist lanyard that goes along with it as well. So. Does it? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's green. It's not going to show up because, believe it or not, this is not my kitchen. If you guys haven't figured that out by now, then, so great. Can't really see that. It doesn't even matter if I do that. You're still not going to be able to see it. So, yeah, looks a little goofy. Anyway, yeah, I forgot I can't use green on here. What's wrong with me? Like I said, third time's the charm on this. At least you guys can hear me today and see me today. Believe it or not, that was a big struggle for us to get past. So it's got these pods in here. You got this little thing here on the bottom where you're going to open this up to fill it. I've got big hands, so these aren't always the easiest for me, but I still was able to get that open okay. We're going to try some of this carrot cake, though. I'm kind of excited about this. I've heard about it. I've done a knuckle test on it, but I actually haven't tried the salt version of this. So this will be a first time for this. Now, what I like about the Mi Pod is a couple of things. The warranties on these Mi Pods are outstanding. You basically get like a lifetime warranty with a Mi Pod, and you're not going to see that with really any other pod systems. Now, when I say that, if you run it over with your car and you bring me a pile of parts, that's probably not going to be covered as a warranty item. But most anything else, if it just stops charging or stops working on you, bring it in. We will get you exchanged to get you another product, and we'll get this back to the company so that they can take care of that situation. We aren't going to lose any money on that deal, so don't be afraid to do that. So we're just going to pop the pod in here. I believe this has a little on-off switch here on the bottom. Maybe. There we go. All right, so I got that flavor in here. I'm going to let this soak for just a second, do some dry hits on this pod so that we don't burn that out first time through here. We also got some red versions of these pods, too, so if you want a little Christmas action going, a little red and the green, we could definitely do that. I forgot to dry hit this before I put it in there. I'm not a pod guy. I don't use these all the time, so you guys are learning right along with me. Let that soak for just a minute. So we do have a lot of other salt available as well. We actually have a Vapors line salt liquids, and we're bringing in like 11 more flavors on the Vapors line within the next couple of weeks. But the 4 we currently have, I think, are really good. So we do have a mango flavor. Duh, everybody's got a mango flavor. But then we have a couple other flavors that you would not expect. We have one called, it's a guava strawberry flavor. Now, guava strawberry has been our best-selling freebase liquid for years now, so we decided to put that as a salt liquid as well. But my absolute favorite out of the bunch has got to be S'more to Love. S'more to Love salt is probably the best s'mores flavor that you're ever going to have. You get the notes of the chocolate, but it's actually a good chocolate. You get the notes of the marshmallow, and the marshmallow for me really comes through, and as you can tell, I like sweet stuff. So, I mean, it's not hard to believe that I would really like that. The funny thing is, I am not a huge fan of carrot cake, which is really funny. But when I tried this, that's the funny thing about e-liquids. Sometimes when you're dealing with, food that you say, well, I don't really like that, it's not really the food. It's actually more of the consistency in your mouth. And I can tell you, it's like some of the flavors, like some of the key limes. I'm not a big key lime fan as far as key lime pie. And I think it has to do with the consistency of the pie. But when you try that flavor on its own, like that key lime cookie from Sad Boy is absolutely phenomenal. So let's see if I've got this taken care of. We're going to take a rip on this and try this flavor. All right, let's see what we got going here. That's pretty damn good. That is really good. So what's nice about it is you get kind of the sweetness on the inhale and get more of that cake on the exhale, but even getting those hints of like ginger maybe in there or whatever it is that gets put into carrot cake to give it that carrot cake flavor, but that is really good. I like having those different notes. Sometimes you got to mix up your e-liquid. You get a little vape tongue and you can't really taste some of the fruits anymore. I have favorite flavors that I try and go back to, but if I do it for a long period of time, I was on Aqua's pure flavor for like 5 months and I finally just had to set it down. I'm like, listen, I'm not really tasting this anymore as good as it is. I ended up moving on from that to Pachamama's Fuji Apple, which is another really, really good flavor. So there are so many great flavors out there. One of the nice things about the vapor stores, especially if you guys live in the Ohio area, when you come to one of our stores, we have these huge taster bars. You can actually sit down and try any flavor that we sell in the store and make sure that it's something that's going to be for you. I know several of you have probably gone home with stuff that tastes awful, that says it's supposed to be blue cotton candy, and it tastes like blue death, and you just end up leaving the rest of the 100 mil or giving it away to somebody else, and that's a huge waste of money. We don't want you to do that here. We want you to be able to at least try these flavors. As soon as I can figure out a way for you guys to try these online, we will definitely put that into effect, but that's probably going to be a few years down the road before that's something that's available. But I want to hit this one more time. Man, that's getting better as I hit it. I love that sweetness. I'm not a huge cream cheese fan, but those notes that I made in that are really good. Man, I like that quite a bit. Now, this green, obviously, you can't see so well on the screen, but if you want to jump over to one of the stores and take a look at one of these, it's got a really nice setup on this, and obviously it's got the Grim Green logo on here. I may have to pick one of these up for myself just because I like supporting him, and I'm not a huge pod guy, but the Me 1 is probably my favorite just because of the airflow. You got your little charger here on the side, so it comes with a charging cable. Plug that in. Like I said, I would charge this with a 1 amp or less charger, but I'm going to let you guys decide what you want to do with that. I really enjoy doing these shows. I like getting the information out to you guys in the news and things just to kind of give you a little information to talk about. I always just want to be that pebble in the pond that gets that conversation started. I know there's a lot of scary stuff going on. We talk a lot about it on the show, and I'll probably repeat some of that on the live shows just because I don't know if everybody will have the time to watch all the other episodes. But if you guys watch Regulator Watch, which is the Canadian version of like one of the vape shows, the guy's very professional. He gets a lot of great interviews on there, a lot of high-ranking officials. This last time he had someone on that was a lawyer that was dealing with all the FDA stuff that's going on with the court cases out there. So I want you guys to be aware of that. There are some real things that you're going to have to keep an eye on with that. The original thing that Judge Grimm had ruled on was that it was going to be a 4-month time limit for them to get PMTAs in. Now, we all know that that's a ridiculously short period of time, and there's no way that was possible. So the FDA looked over this and basically told the judge that you can't really give us a time frame on things. It's not, you don't have that authority to do that. But then they went on to say that, unfortunately, we could probably get it done in 10 months. No, you can't. Okay, 10 months is definitely not enough time. And if the FDA is giving them that kind of time frame, that judge is probably going to jump all over that and actually rule for the 10-month period of time. I'm concerned that this is the way for the FDA to kind of sidestep out of the way and blame someone else for the death of vaping. They'll be like, well, they only gave us a 10-month time frame and we couldn't get it done in time, so it's that person's fault. So we can put all of our anger towards one person. And I really just don't think that's right. The FDA needs to look at this situation as a harm reduction product, just like with the IQOS, knowing that the IQOS is a harm reduction product. But we also know that vaping is more of a harm reduction product. And I think that when we start looking at these things and you see all the scientific evidence, that's really the way that we need to go. We need to stop making money run this argument, and we need to make sure that we are doing what's best for the people that live, here and abroad. Smoking kills 500,000 people every year just in the United States. And the number one cause of death among teenagers is driving. It's not this crazy vape epidemic that they keep talking about. I get a little peeved about that sometimes because I think this is all just a bunch of hoopla that they're throwing out to us that's trying to get people scared, and you get indoctrinated with this fear and like, oh, we need to protect our kids because they're getting into this. I'm not saying that there aren't underage people that are juuling, but there are underage people that are drinking. There are a lot of underage people that are using, lots of different drugs. We've seen a spike in marijuana, which I'm not really so concerned about that, but I'm concerned about the meth and the heroin and the other things that maybe a drug dealer would have. That's what makes that a stepping stone, because it's not a stepping stone because you're using marijuana. It's a stepping stone because the guy that's selling you marijuana is like, hey, would you like to try this? And I don't like that situation exists. So with the teenage thing, I do understand, but we also have to be parents, and we have to make sure that we're paying attention to our kids, and not only, making sure they're not doing things wrong, but informing them of the truth about what, is really going on. There was a lot of really bad information when I was growing up, the whole just say no thing with Nancy Reagan. And they made it sound like marijuana was just killing every brain cell in your body. And now we know that that's really not true, and how many states have legalized that. It even looks like Michigan and Illinois are going to legalize recreational and have that going probably by the end of the year or early at the beginning of the year. So we're going to see this spread throughout the United States, and I think this is a really good thing. So along those lines a little bit, I'm going to talk about one last funny story. And some of you probably already know about this, but I found it to be interesting. Disney had actually arrested a elderly woman for using CBD. Actually arrested her right in front of her grandchildren. This is, to me, just absolute craziness. Now, this woman had severe arthritis and walking around the park all day was very painful. And she probably put a little tincture under her tongue, like she was out there blowing out clouds or smoking a joint or something like that. She was just trying to use what she knows is a healthier alternative to some of the pain medications that she's probably being prescribed to be able to be with her grandchildren and have some flexibility. I use CBD every day. I have a severe arthritis in my ankle, and if I don't use this stuff, I can't really walk around that well. I mean, it's part of my everyday life. I know Grim, it's part of his everyday life. He talks about it, it's like his morning cup of coffee now, because it's something that relaxes your body, and you're not going to get any high effects from it. It's just basically something that's going to make you be able to get through your day and have a little less pain or a little bit less, discomfort, if you will. So this story to me, I guess it's funny because they're arresting somebody. Like Florida doesn't have enough going on with people that their cops should be doing other things in Florida to fix some of the other issues like with these illicit drugs. But this is something that was just ridiculous. And my understanding about this now, I was on NVR a couple of weeks ago talking with Jen, and Jen said that she had actually contacted this woman, and it looks like she's actually going to be suing Disney for this because CBD is legal. The Farm Bill took care of that, and so I don't know why they felt like they had the ability to make this arrest. But think about the impact on her granddaughters seeing their grandmother being arrested. That had to be, traumatic, and I'm sure that's something that will stay with them for quite a while. They'll probably have even distrust in authority just because of that. So, we really needed to look at all of the aspects of what could possibly happen when we do some things like this, and yes, I bet she's going to make a ton of money from Disney for making that mistake, but that's their own fault. They should train their people to know that that is not something that we're concerned about. Yes, if somebody brings a bong into the park and starts ripping away, of course, you're going to want to take care of that situation. When you're talking about an elderly woman who's putting droplets of a tincture under her tongue, I can't see that as really, something that they should be arrested for. Maybe filling these kids full of sugary sweets all day at the park might be something they want to consider, looking at. But no, that makes them a lot of money. So anyway, I love Disney. I don't want to rip on them too bad, but let's use some common sense. All right, guys. Well, we got our Juice of the Week done. We've been through some pod systems here. I'm sorry I wasn't able to set up that AVP because I really like that a lot. I'm going to talk about that just for a second anyway. The AVP, their pods, what I really like about them is what the type of fill they have on those is what I think all the pod systems should go to. I really like the Sprite, but those little plugs that you have to pull out are not always the easiest thing. And I think the companies need to go to this one-way valve system. So basically what you do is you just push your e-liquid bottle down on this valve, you fill it up, and then when you release, the valve closes and seals it. I have not seen anything else in the market that is that awesome as far as pod systems go. It eliminates a lot of the leaking issues. It eliminates a lot of the problems with filling these issues, and it also eliminates a lot of excuses for smokers who don't want to make the switch over to vaping. We've made this as easy as you possibly can have it. Most of the products you're going to see out here are less than $30. So, there's really not a lot of expense with this. So if you could do me a favor, go over to the vapors1.com website. Like I said, we are revamping that. There's always going to be new products coming all the time. We're lowering some of the prices on there because we want to be competitive with online. But with that in mind, we decided because it's going to take us a little time to do that, we're going to put you a coupon code out there so you can save some money in the meantime. Vape AM15, so Vape AM15 will get you 15% off your entire order at the website. I'm not used to having this mic here, so I keep banging my face on it. So if you guys are hearing that, I apologize. But VAPE AM15 all together. We used lowercase, but I don't think it's going to be case sensitive. We want to give you guys some ability to get a discount, maybe pick up juice or, sorry, I didn't mean to say juice. Liquid. I money in the swear jar. All right, we'd like you to pick up some liquid or coils or a new pod system, whatever's going to help you continue to stop smoking. All right. Also, don't forget about the I Vape, I Vote. We got shirts, we got hoodies. I sent the ladies from That's What She Said some I Vape, I Vote shirts, and they showed those off on the show last night, so I do appreciate that. But I want us to stand together. The whole reason that we're doing these, folks, we are not making a lot of money on these shirts, a couple of bucks just to kind of cover our costs. This was what we wanted to do to help us all be united with this. If we see, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000 people wearing these shirts and they're all standing together, that's a hard image to get out of your mind. And with lawmakers, they see votes. Okay, and if we're all standing together saying we believe in this, maybe through this next presidential election, we're going to see somebody stand up and go, no, I'm not going to continue to allow big tobacco to kill people every year. We're going to find a way to get vaping legalized with flavors, and we're going to make this available. I really hope that's the case. And I think Trump, unfortunately, is probably the guy that will end up doing this, if anyone will, because he can see that there's business in this. He can see that this is a market. He can see that these are jobs. He can see that this is a tax base. And over and over and over again, politicians keep saying that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Well, most vape shops are small businesses. You're not going to see, business. I don't know of any vape shop that has, hundreds of locations and franchises. There's probably one or two out there that I'm not aware of. But, we have a 6-store, chain, and that's not that big. I mean, realistically, that is not that many stores. But it's still a small business. And if this goes away, and we have to close all the 6 stores, we have to fire all of our people. They've all got to go find new jobs. And we are just trying to help. We're trying to do something that's, a harm reduction thing. So, I don't want to beat that dead horse, but it's just one of those things. And as you guys know, what's my thing? What do I talk about every week? What's the main focus of Vape AM? Stop smoking or you're going to die. All right? So, one last thing we'll talk about here today, and I'll let you guys get out of here. We do have a expo coming up in New York. So if you're in New York and you're going to be available, it's NVE, and it's in Nassau County, I believe is how that is. There's a Coliseum there, or a convention center that we're doing that at. So we have a booth there. We're going to be selling those I Vape, I Vote shirts right there, so you can get one pretty inexpensively. We'll also have some juice and batteries and things like that. Maybe even some of our newer salts we'll bring down there so you guys can try those out as well. But we wanted to make this focus really about the I Vape, I Vote, because we know that there will be a lot of people there that are really involved in advocacy. And like I said, all of us standing together as a joined unit is the way that this is going to change. Individuals like myself, I can get on here every day and talk about this, but unless you guys join with me, nothing's going to change. So I would really encourage that. Don't stop contacting your federal legislators and senators and those kinds of things. The more information they get about this stuff, the more that their minds will start to change, or at least they may look into it to see what the scientific evidence has. All right. So I've been on here a little longer than I normally am, but we want to do some fun live shows on a Friday, and I have a good time with this. This is really, really my favorite part of my day, is being able to come to you guys with these shows. Tell someone else about Vape AM. Let's get more people watching this show. If you like the show, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like the show, give me a thumbs down. I will change something. I will make it better. I need to know. Throw me a comment down on the bottom. Probably one of the most important things is you got to ring that bell. So if you're watching That's What She Said, or Grim Green, or me, or Texas Cloud Town, or the NBR Network, you got to ring the bell, because the way YouTube's algorithms and things work, you may miss out on episodes just because they are, hiding them. I don't want to say on purpose, because a lot of that just runs by robots, but it just kind of seems like that's what's going on. I have to hunt and hunt and hunt for vape news. So let's all join together, tell each other about our different shows so that we can keep these going, because the more you just kind of get punched in the face about this, after a while you got to say, oh my God, okay, I got to look into this. Obviously, this fear-mongering is definitely not the way to go. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad we were finally able to get one of these live shows to roll. And this was a lot of fun, so I may do these a little bit more often. I'll try to give you a little bit more lead time so you'll know what time we're starting. But like I said, today I was a little bit afraid. I wanted to make sure that we got this rolling. And, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And we will see you again on Monday. So have a great weekend.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be